Hey guys, welcome back. This is Vesper, and it's time for another Seth tips and tricks video. I'm still playing this character. I'm basically maining Seth right now. I'm still learning more and more things, and I'd like to continue to share that with you guys as we go. So another 10 tips, but once again, it's a little bit more than 10. And if you guys missed out on my first tips and tricks video, you should definitely check it out on my channel, especially if you're picking up Seth, because there's a lot of beginner stuff in that video as well. Okay, so with tip number one, this is one of the most important things to learn with Seth, is how to utilize Seth's Annihilate Sword, or I like to call it Axe Kick. You could do it jumping straight up, you could do it jumping forward, and there's basically a hidden motion you want to do with this, so you can do it really low to the ground. You can Tiger Knee it, or instant air, either way, and I'll show you guys the input for this. So the motion I prefer to do this is quarter circle back, and slide it to up, forward, and kick. Ideally, you want to use light kick because it's the fastest. And don't worry if you're playing on pad, you could do this on joystick or on pad, as long as you do it a one smooth, continuous motion. And this might be something you have to practice, especially on both sides of the screen. Now what this allows you to do is your Annihilate Sword much lower to the ground than you're supposed to. And let's say I was going to do it as fast as I can. I'm going to go up, forward, and quarter circle back, 2 kicks as fast as I can. You see how low it is to the ground, but if I do it using the Tiger Knee, it's almost touching the floor. I'm so low to the ground. So you can tell how much faster it is. Alright, so let's say you have the motion down. Now, how do you use this thing in an actual match? Well, the first thing is, obviously, it's used to close the gap. So when you're around this range and you're struggling against your opponent's normals, that's when you want to bust this thing out to get close. If you hit the opponent with this, you're going to be +2. Which allows you more pressure. Either you can go for some sneak in normal, or you can walk into a throw, or obviously you can just do another air Annihilate Sword and pressure them, because it's really hard to anti-air, because since you're so low to the ground, it's really hard to react to. Now keep in mind, even if you're point blank to the opponent and they block this, you're only -2, so it's completely safe. What makes it even crazier, if they're crouching, which normally when you're point blank to the opponent, they're going to be crouch blocking, you're actually +2. So it's still your turn, and once again, you can walk and throw. Standing medium punch would be an ideal frame trap for this. Or you can do standing leg kick as well, because if standing leg kick counter hits, you can convert it into crouching medium. What's even crazier is if you happen to hit the opponent while they're crouching, you're actually +6. So that means you can convert this into a combo. I ideally like to do a target combo. That seems to be the most reliable. Finally, this move is really good for baiting throws, either after jumping in on your opponent or knocking them down. If they wake up right next to you and they think you're going to try to throw them, you can bait it using this. Since it's airborne, they can't throw you, obviously. You can even do an EX version just to knock them down again. Okay, moving on to tip number 2. Use forward hard punch as your ender after a jumping medium punch, instead of using your axe kick. You do pretty much the same exact damage, but you get more corner carry and you actually get some Oki. So let me show you the first combo. We'll just go straight into crushing the medium punch. So that was with heavy axe kick, does 241 damage and 380 stun, and look how close Ryu is to the corner. And then I'll show you guys again, just doing forward hard punch. Ryu's right in the corner, and on top of that, after dashing, I'm like +12. Which is pretty crazy. So I get Oki, same damage, and I push him closer to the corner. So I'll show you guys one more time. Okay, moving on to tip number 3. This is another really important one for Seth players, is you want to mix up your core circle back kick pressure. So a lot of Seth players like to poke with core circle back light kick because it's hard to punish. It's -8, but you're really far when you do it. But the core circle back heavy kick actually is +2 on block. So if your opponent is not paying attention and you use this sparingly, you can end up being an advantage. And even though it takes a lot longer to wind up, your opponent has to really be looking for this. Because they're afraid to press buttons, because there is a gap when you do the light kick version. So if you condition them to not press anything afterwards, you can start sneaking these in, and you can continue your pressure because you're +2. So the first thing is, if you happen to hit the opponent when they're close to the corner, you can juggle with an EX uppercut for a lot of damage off a stray hit. And if they block it, then you have a ton of options. So the first thing, most straightforward thing, is you can simply just throw them because you're +2. So even if they mash out a 3-frame or light, your throw is going to win every single time, which makes it really scary for your opponent. Now, if they do try to challenge you and they don't know that you're +2, then ideally for a frame trap, I would use standing light kick. You could use standing medium punch for more damage, but if they block your standing medium punch, then you're -2 and then you lose your turn. I would rather do standing light kick because then I'm +3 afterwards and I can still maintain pressure. I can even go for it again pretty much. I can go standing light kick and then go back into it and then still do the same exact thing. Now, if they do try to challenge it and they get counter hit, then you also get a good conversion from standing light kick, so you can go straight into crouching medium punch. Let me show you guys what that would look like. Something like that. And then you can continue your pressure from there. You pretty much want to use this the same way Rashid does with his whirlwind shot pressure, where there is a gap but you sneak it in. I'm not saying to do it like every 2 seconds, but you gotta keep your opponent like on his toes. And you can layer this even further by doing it, and then you can go for a shimmy to bait a throw. You can go like this into an instant air kick and then hit the throw as well. And if you utilize the axe kick and the spinning kick, both of these, you can understand why Seth is so strong in this game. Okay, tip number 4, I'm going to show you guys a really easy safe jump setup for Seth. This is ideally for 4-frame reversals or slower, and to do it is crouching heavy punch crush counter, then you want to dash immediately into a crouching light punch, which is for your kill frame, and then jump straight up heavy punch and then block. This is really good for slow reversals like EX flash kick or Ed's reversal, Urian's reversal, anything like that. And let me show you guys what that looks like. So as you can see, it's a really good bait, really tempting for your opponent to do a reversal. And if they don't do one, then this is why it's called a safe jump setup. You still make them block and they still have to deal with it. Moving on to tip number 5, Seth's standing light kick is really good for crushing low attacks. So if you're having problems as characters like Ryu, Ed, or Kadeen that constantly bully you with crouching medium kick, standing light kick is the button you want to use to beat that. Now you're going to have to buffer into something, so you're going to do standing light kick and cancel it into core circle back light kick, or go straight into the EX. You're basically whiffing in mid-air and trying to whiff punish it. So let me show you guys what that looks like against Ryu. Next up, tip number 6 is Seth's forward throw is really strong. You're plus 15 after a forward throw mid-screen, and since Seth has a 16-frame dash, you're only -1 after a dash forward after the forward throw. This is really strong. This reminds me of like old Akuma's forward throw, basically, where you can forward throw the opponent and easily get away with a dash into another forward throw. The opponent basically has to press a button right when they get up to stop you, but it's hard to react to, and then you can condition them by doing a forward throw and then just do a core circle back kick to stop them from pressing a button on wake up. You can even just walk forward and just crouching medium punch them, forward medium punch, standing medium punch, basically to stop them pressing buttons. It's kind of like a pseudo throw loop that's really strong that of course works mid-screen. You can do heavy core circle back kick for +2 on block. Okay, tip number 7, Seth has a really easy confirm to super off a counter hit crouching medium punch, because Seth's super starts up in 6 frames, so you have a more than enough big window to do a crouching medium punch, see the counter hit message, and then convert it straight into super for a lot of damage there. And you can just fish for it, and it's really safe to do. This crouching medium punch is +2 on block. You can easily practice this by setting counter hit to random, and I guess you can set guard to random too if you want to make it really realistic. And you basically do crouching medium punch while inputting half of the super, just the motion, and then pressing punch as soon as you see that counter hit message on the left side of the screen. If you want to take it one step further, you can also fish for light attacks, since they are also +6, like a standing light kick from counter hit or a standing light punch, or even a crouching light punch, all 6 frames, and will link into super if you're fast enough. Tip number 8, if you're having problems converting into V-Trigger with Seth because you have to be reasonably close for a lot of damage or confirm the super, you can just use core circle back light kick after a max range forward hard punch, for example. And this is ideal because then you can follow up with super from this for closing out a round. or a max range crouching heavy kick will work as well. And this is what I prefer to convert into right now. Tip number 9, if you're using V-Skill 1, don't forget that it breaks armor. This is really good for matchups like Zangief or Abigail. So Zangief can't use his V-Skill 1 or V-Skill 2 against you with the V-Skill 1, which is really, really nice. So ideally, you actually want to not steal a move sometimes, so you always have this up to help you from these characters bullying you with this. Like I said, it'll work with Zangief V-Skill 1 or his V-Skill 2. And it'll also work against like Abigail if he's running at you, or if he's charging his V-Trigger 1, or if he's charging his V-Trigger 2 actually. V-Skill 1 is a really good counter to these characters. And finally, tip number 10, as you guys know, you can only do Annihilate Sword while jumping up or jumping forward, but you can actually do it jumping backwards if you land a jumping medium punch. So with this in mind, it's really good against players that like to constantly cross you up, and you want to get some extra damage instead of, you know, doing a cross-cut, uppercut, or something harder. You can do a heavy kick in the air for some good damage, and if you have V-Trigger up, you can get a lot more damage, and basically make it lethal for them trying to cross you up. Alright guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you guys learned something, please give me a like on the video. It really helps out so we can get it out there. Of course, subscribe to the channel. I have some more tips and tricks and guides and stuff for you guys for Street Fighter V in the future. And yeah, enjoy playing Seth, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.